Really excited today to have a colleague and a competitor and a mentor and an educator, fellow educator in the space of probate, Gary DiGrazia from eXp Realty, who has his own probate team, and he and his partner have the Probate Hero Collective YouTube channel, where they post great information on probate and have, I think, a special focus that I don't really talk about as much on investing. Gary, thank you so much for making time for us today.
Oh, thank you, Bill. It's an honor to be with you on your podcast. I love what you're doing, and I know you deliver a lot of value to your viewers. So
Thanks.
it was an honor to be invited on here and just talk with you and share with you and our viewers on what we're doing in our little slice of the world, probate real estate.
And I think it would only be appropriate to shout out the memory of your father, who also inspired so many people in this space. And one of the first people I learned from at EXP about how to invest, how to use the probate model, how to use it as initial real estate. So we're really excited to help continue that tradition, hopefully, with you and your team and such. So let's talk a bit about building a business in probate real estate, whether you're an attorney or an investor or a realtor. I think there's certain common threads. I know that you've built a good team and are in a mode of adding more people to the team. Obviously, being in the right team is a big part of it. What are the personal characteristics that you see of those who go from starting in this and floundering instead to starting in this field and building a business?
So, as I'm sure you can imagine, I'm contacted daily, whether it's via email, phone call, or direct messages on social media from agents that have always wanted to get involved in probate. They know whether they know nothing about it or whether they've kind of toe dipped in it. And what I'm looking for when I interview an agent that wants to work directly with me, now, any agent has the right and the availability to purchase my training program. Like I don't, whoever wants to purchase it can purchase it. But to work directly with myself and my team, I don't just let it. It's not an open door policy. Like I want to interview and bring on the right agents. And one of the most common problems or negative attributes that agents bring when they come to me is they're looking at probate as like some silver bullet. Like, they're going to be able to start today, and by the end of the week, they're going to have probate deals in the pipeline and this and that. And that's just not the case with probate. As you know, there's quite a learning curve to it. And it's understanding the terminology and being able to present yourself in a highly educated way in a very finite niche of the real estate industry. You have to almost be able to converse like an attorney, and at the same time give full disclosure that you're not an attorney and you're not giving any legal advice. But that's the biggest thing that I look for is what is the agent's long-term goal with probate real estate? What's their approach? Are they looking for me to wave a magic wand and all of a sudden
Do you have one? Do you have a magic wand?
you know what? I'm all out. I had to order some more. But if I can kind of disseminate that by my interview process with agents, and I can tell within the first few minutes if an agent really has it or if they don't. Now personally, I think every agent who respects their business and takes their business, they take a real professional approach to it. Like they don't treat it as just a job, but it's a career for them. I think everybody like that absolutely should have probate as part of their business. It's stable. It's not affected by the economy or the market conditions. It's a ground floor to whatever it is that you do. I've recently had a lot of luxury agents that have been contacting me that they finally had that light bulb pop in over their head, after watching a YouTube channel or following on social media. The light bulb, didn't just go off, it exploded over their head as they're thinking to themselves, well, my business fluctuates with interest rates and this and that. My business is either hot or cold. It'd be nice to have something like probate to just continue something steady while I'm still focusing on my luxury business. And that's my goal and my mission statement in business is I want to be able to impress upon as many professional real estate agents as possible. It's only a good thing for you to add probate to your business. It's a stable, repeatable business model that once you get past the learning curve And the learning curve is different for everybody.
Right.
There's an agent that just joined our team. He's from the San Jose area. He's been a broker owner for 30 years, owns his own brokerage, and he's been involved in probate. He's done probate transactions, but his system, he didn't really have this tailored, systemized approach to it, kind of firing from the hips. And it was after engaging with us on our YouTube channel and then meeting my partner Ray in person and then conversing with him, then conversing with me and starting to kind of get a little bit closer to what we do. That's when he saw the writing on the wall, and he ended up just bringing his brokerage over to EXP and partnering directly with us. And now he's got deals in the pipeline. But he was able to have success right away because once he got into the training program, the learning curve was much smaller for him because he's had all this track history. He understood the terminology and things of that nature, timelines. He understood that. He just needed to have an organized approach on how to deliver all of that content in a conversational manner that's going to give the person that he's speaking to at the estate, to give them the idea that he's the right person to be talking to, that he knows exactly what he's doing. He's the man for the job in comparison to the hundreds of other phone calls that he's getting from other real estate agents who are treating them as if they were just another real estate lead, which is the biggest, that's the biggest fault that I see in this niche is you have agents that are prospecting diligently and they're very good at it. I'm not taking anything away from their skill sets, but they're shifting gears from calling expireds or FSBOs or their SOI or what have you. And then they're grabbing their stack of probate leads and they're just rifling through those without changing their approach. And that's why most agents fail at probate is because they treat it like it's a regular real estate lead, like it's a regular seller lead. And it's not, it's completely different. So when I'm interviewing agents, I'm looking to find from them, number one, what are their daily habits? What's their daily method of operation? How do they get business now? What are they comfortable doing? And once I learn what they're comfortable doing and they have the right vision with probate, they understand that this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. I'm able to help them take our training program and then tailor it to best fit their business practices. Because a lot of agents, believe it or not, are just not comfortable picking up the phone cold and calling somebody who's just lost a loved one and trying to have a business conversation with them. And that's okay. We have a system that we can introduce to those types of agents where they can still have success. But then you have other agents that, you know, they're gunslingers. You know, they'll call anybody and they have the gift of gab. They're able to talk to people on the phone and build rapport quickly. And we tailor our same system, but we tailor it to meet those specific skill sets. But at the end of the day, it's really, I want agents I'm going to spend my time with agents that understand probate's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Yeah, you might go 2 or 3 months while you're learning the basic terminology and the timelines and disclosure exemptions and things like that. You might go a couple of months without putting any deals into your pipeline, but eventually it's going to click for you. And that's when you start seeing the fruits of your labor and deals will start stacking up. So it just takes consistency and it takes that thick skin of never giving up, just staying with it, really.
There's a lot to unpack there, Gary.
Yeah.
We have a 4-hour podcast material you just dumped on me here. So let me go back a little bit. One of the things you mentioned was when people come to you, I mean, great, it was gold. That was just like solid gold. If you're watching this, back up and listen to that 3 times. So I get the same phone calls, and I feel like you mentioned luxury agents, and you use the term silver pill or silver bullet. I feel like people call me and say, what's the easy way to build a probate business? And I say, I don't know. Like, I work at this every day. I work pretty hard. Now, I don't work as hard as I used to. You know, I'm 66. I work about 33 hours a week, very structured, very consistent time schedule and activities, very controlled. But when I'm working, I'm working. And when I'm not, I'm not. And I think that the point that you made was, you said, like, what are you doing daily? Because when I ask that question, I usually get blank stares and daily activities. What do you do with that? I'm like, well, don't you have something you do every day to generate business? Like, do you phone call? Do you door knock? Do you, go on social media? Do you go to events? Like, what do you do daily for 3 or 4 hours a day to generate business for you? And the lack of an answer is always the answers of why they're where they're at. And I don't care what you do, you better find some way to generate business. So you can't coach that, right? They either have the desire or they don't have the desire. You can direct them if they're beat up. And the other thing I think you said was a marathon. And I know for me, sometimes that metaphor doesn't work because I think, well, I'm not that skinny, really fast running guy. But like at the LA Marathon, a lot of people like me who trained for a year and just keep moving for 26 miles and finish the marathon.
Yeah.
And I think that's more like the analogy that you just got to train for it and put the work in. And so let's talk a little bit about that. You mentioned your training class. What are the types of things that an agent doesn't know when they start that they're going to specifically learn? You mentioned the conversation and how to talk to a prospective customer. What are the types of material that they need to learn about, or maybe crystallize how to convey that to somebody?
Sure. Great question. So where the rubber meets the road with probate success is being able to convey the correct message specific for that individual's situation. No two probates are alike. No two probate files are exactly the same. It's not cookie cutter. So you can't grab, like, for example, I was Mike Ferry trained when I was very early, 2005, when I started in real estate. Before my dad even let me get into probate, he had me learn regular real estate through Mike Ferry. And the beauty of that was I would take the same expired script and I would go through, all my expired leads using that same script on every single potential client. Probate's different. Probate is more tailored questions. It's understanding the terminology to ask the correct questions to draw out the information. And then from the information that you're receiving, that's how you shape the conversation to deliver value, to represent yourself as a probate expert without having to say that you're a probate expert. Because you get more credibility when the person on the other end of the phone call identifies you as a probate expert by the conversation you're having, as opposed to you putting probate specialist on your business card or your email signature, or by introducing yourself as, hey, I'm Gary, I'm the local probate specialist. That means nothing. Right. But when you can convey the knowledge and the experience through asking the correct type of questions that draw out the information that is specific to them, and then you tailor the conversation around those ideas that mean something to them, that's how you build rapport quick, and that's how you identify yourself as a probate specialist in their mind, right? Which is going to elevate you tenfold.
I'd listened on your training, I listened on your father's training back when he was doing that. And the thing that I noticed different than the other trainings I listened to, and I've taken 5 or 6 different courses I paid for, and if I learn a little bit at this stage of my career, that little bit's worth a lot to me. So I'm always open to learning. The thing that I notice is that the other training courses, I won't name names or disparage them, but 80 to 90% of their time is on cold calling techniques and scripting. Very little is on the mechanics of the probate or solving the customer's problem. It's how to act like you know how to solve the problem, as opposed to learning the tools of the trade so that you can be prepared to solve the problem when they have it. And I think that's the thing that strikes me about your approach is you really are giving them the technical tools to be the agent, not to sound like the agent that the customer is looking for.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yep.
And I think this is, okay. So obviously probate, when I entered this business, one thing I learned right away was it's very dispersed geographically, meaning you work hard to develop a relationship, and it's not uncommon that either the probate administrator, executor, or the attorney has cases in multiple jurisdictions that a normal realtor wouldn't service, right? I'm in LA County, and I've done business every year in about 8 or 10 different counties, and not because I market out there, just that's the natural reach of my business. Whereas if I was a normal realtor, I would probably only be in LA or maybe occasionally Orange County. So I joined DXP for that reason. I kind of put together, gee, I can't be in all these places. I need some help. Talk a little bit about how your team approaches the geographic diversity within California of listing property. I know you guys do stuff all over the place. Talk about how your team kind of approaches that.
Yeah. So my father and I, when my father was here with us, that was our plan. That was why we joined EXP right at the beginning of EXP when they started. I think my father was agent 241, and
wow.
he helped build California.
Wow.
And that was his vision. That was his goal. Was at that time before, when we were at Remax, we only handled the few counties that were right around the greater Bay Area.
Right.
And he saw the opportunity with EXP to bring in other agents from all over the state of California and train them up to a level of expertise where they can be an extension of him. He still, would, as I do today, like I have one coming up in Southern California, a couple of them actually. I still handle the back end probate documents, and I'm the one who's engaging with the attorney and working side by side with the attorney, and I'm doing all that stuff. But we have that agent down there who understands how probate works, understands the timelines, and is that boots on the ground, that face in front of the client, that day-to-day contact to be able to service the client at a high level, even though I'm not personally down there.
Right.
So, I mean, you nailed it. That's exactly why we moved our business to EXP, was to be able to grow geographically. And now we handle all 58 counties in California. Wow. Like I mentioned, I have a few coming up in your neck of the woods, a couple coming up in San Diego. I have a couple up in up past Sacramento, which is an hour from me, a couple coming up in Sonoma County, which is 2 hours from me. And I'm not driving back and forth all the time. I just have brought in the right kind of agents in those areas that I hand those listings off to. They are the boots on the ground. They manage the listing. I handle all the probate related paperwork behind the scenes and make sure that we close on time, that everything's compliant according to probate code. And I'm the person that's dealing with all of that stuff. So EXP has given us that ability to expand our probate business to wherever we have trained agents that work, which now we're in all 58 counties in California.
And I think the every company will say that they're national, right? I worked at Keller Williams in Section 21. You were at Remax, and they'll say, "Oh, we're all over the globe." But the reality is, each city is a different business. They happen to have your brand. They don't know you from Adam. They don't care about you from Adam. Whereas EXP is different. We have a common broker of record. We have common compliance requirements, paper requirements, systems to help us work together. And so whether they're directly underneath you or you're far out within the EXP system, it gives us some real unique advantages. I know I couldn't change at this point. It's too ingrained in my business that it works too well for me. So one of the things that's come up recently is, one of the real challenges of building a team was, giving the agents the support. That's always been the challenge at every company. Is how do you onboard them? How do you integrate them? How do you get them on company tools? How do you get them into a program and working? And I know you guys did that at a high level, but not as high as you wanted. And now EXP added another layer of support called the co-sponsor program. And you and I worked on this recently, where an agent might be connected to you on the local area and me on the probate or vice versa, but they really get two people helping them where they used to get one. So talk about that, how you're starting to integrate that into your team building program.
That right there opened the floodgates. Yeah. Because it all comes down to support for that agent.
Yes.
And I've had to turn agents away before that have come to me from the East Coast and wanted to do probates in their area and work with me. And I honestly had to tell them, I'm not going to be able to provide you the level of support that you're going to need. Right. I can refer you to somebody that can sponsor you and give you that support, but it can't be me. But you can still go through my probate training. Right. So with the co-sponsoring now, like you probably know one of EXP's biggest agents out of San Diego. His name's Pete Middleton. Oh, yeah. Him and I are co-sponsoring an agent right now in San Diego who's doing probates with me, but he's going to be able to leverage the support from Pete's team in San Diego. He's going to be able to use his physical office and work out of there and be a part of that ecosystem and that support group, while at the same time working directly with me and my probate team and having the support that our team provides as well. So that all that this did, the co-sponsoring, which is why I love it so much, is it gives so much extra support to the agent that's coming on board to EXP that just a couple of years ago we didn't have available.
You had half, right? You had you or Pete.
Right.
And they might have liked Pete because he was local, but
Right.
he knew nothing about probate. Might have loved you on the probate, but you didn't have the local San Diego resources. And now that same agent for no extra money gets both.
Exactly. Yeah. So it just made it great. I mean, you and I, we're working on a co-sponsor right now where it's just like you said, he's going to have both of us supporting him. And he happens to be geographically, he lives closer to me, but he works with both of us on the probate side. And then the same thing with Pete Middleton. You know, he's in San Diego. That's where this agent lives. And once I told him that this was an opportunity, he was elated because the main thing for him was, I'm going to need support. I was out of real estate for a while. I'm going to need an office. I'm going to need an ecosystem around me. You know, how does that work with you being all the way up in Northern California? And when I told him how co-sponsoring works, that was it. He pulled the trigger, and you know, he's off to the races. So co-sponsoring has, in my opinion, it not only has been advantageous to us who are already here in the EXP world, but it's just given so much extra hands-on support to agents that are new to EXP that we didn't have before. So it's a huge advantage to anybody right now, anybody watching this that wants to get involved. Like, you can have Bill and I in your support group working directly with you. So it just really made it a better situation for agents that want to come on board and have the best of both worlds. So support geographically and support in a very specific niche, if that's what they're looking for.
I did the same thing you did with Pete with another big time name. I know Jesse Zagorsky out of San Diego area. Okay. The agent lived in El Cajon, same exact city as Jesse, has an office. And I know Jesse, let's co-sponsor this guy. He's all great. Let's do it. And the customer has a place to go, as well as he and I meet weekly to get his probate business off and running. And again, it gives that same agent twice the support they would have had 6 months ago had they joined. And so I think it's really an exciting time to be with the company. Yeah. So let's talk about the kind of the business. I think for those of us who are in the business and doing it well, doing it regularly at a high level, you know, on one hand, my business has never, I don't think it's ever been better. It's certainly great, you know, really at the top of my game. But it's a culmination of time and effort and energy. It's not magic. I'm surrounded with agents who are struggling. One of the things I'm good at is kind of drowning out that noise and saying, okay, well, you know, I am sorry to hear about that, and I'm here to help if I can help you, but I don't let it convince me that my business is bad, because mine isn't bad. If I work, I get paid. If I don't work, I don't get paid. It's kind of that simple. How do you keep your mindset clear? And then more importantly, you have a team of people underneath you. How do you work with them to keep them focused on the job, which if they do it, they're going to get success. And if they don't do it, they're going to have some challenges.
The key is all in the follow-up. That's where the bulk of our training is on the follow-up. And the rule of thumb that my father used to teach, that is ingrained in me and that I teach to the agents that I'm directly working with, is you want to consistently have 5 conversations going at all times. Every week, the goal for every agent that I train is create 5 conversations. So the 5 from this week will become follow-up next week, and your follow-up list will organically grow. But what happens to that follow-up list is they actually become deals. So they move out of your follow-up list and they become clients. But then every week you're adding to your follow-up list, because your goal every week is to get 5 brand new conversations going. So that we try to keep it as simple as possible. We don't want anybody overthinking it. Definitely not trying to reinvent the wheel. My father designed exactly how all of this works. I just took it to a little bit of a higher level, only because I incorporated a lot more technology to it. But the rule of thumb is still the same. Focus on 5 new conversations a week. That's one person to talk to a day.
That's one.
It's incredibly doable. And if you do more than that, well then, hey, you're crushing it. But even if you're hitting your goal, of 5 new conversations a week, you're profitable. You're going to eventually turn those into deals, because those 5 new conversations go into a follow-up system where our CRM is doing 80 to 85% of the work for you. And from the follow-up system, the majority of them do become your clients. And it's just a revolving door. As long as you're continuing to create those 5 new conversations a week, you're going to have a pipeline that is going to get filled. And you're going to be able to consistently fill that pipeline, because every week we're delivering brand new leads. As long as the leads don't go away, Bill, the system's not going to break. The only thing that breaks in the system is the agent. That's it.
So describe, obviously conversation doesn't mean I walk in the grocery store and say hello to somebody. Describe what those 5 conversations in particular, what those look like. What's the minimum standard, or how you define one of those 5 conversations?
So the initial conversation, when we consider it a cold call, which technically they're not necessarily cold calls, because we've already sent them stuff in the mail and we have a reason that we're calling them. It's not just out of the blue type of a conversation. Hey, Bill, I'm calling you because I sent you XYZ. But that first conversation where you're actually interfacing with the estate is an information finding exploration, more or less. We're asking questions to learn about their unique situation, and we're taking notes the whole time. We're filling up that lead sheet. We're filling it up with everything specific to that one client. And then at the end of the conversation, it's not a close. There's no call to action. It's simply, I understand, Bill, that you mentioned you have this, you have this, you have this. Well, hey, how about I send you an email where I can get into more detail about how we can provide solutions for X, Y, and Z. And I'm going to include an actual probate real estate guide for you that you can download that will help you with everything else that involves selling real estate during probate. Do you happen to use Gmail? And that's a key phrase that we train all of our agents. We never ask somebody, what's your email address? It's just too intrusive when somebody hasn't met you. As harmless as that question is, when you're talking to somebody who's never met you before and you are a salesperson on the other end of that phone call, all of the walls are up. So you have to find ways to allow them to say no, where that no answer actually means yes.
Yeah.
So when we start a conversation, it's never, hey, Bill, is now a good time for us to talk? You're going to say, no, get away from me, sales guy. But hey, Bill, my name's Gary with EXP. Is now a bad time for a brief chat? Well, no, now's not a bad time. They're able to say no, but that no means yes to us. So that's how we start our calls. And then at the end, after we go through our fact-finding mission and we have all of the details of what is pertaining to this specific probate file, then it's just simply, hey, you know what? I'd love to share with you more detailed information on how we can help provide solutions to X, Y, and Z. And we name out what they already mentioned to us. I'll send you an email. Do you happen to use Gmail? Whether they use Gmail or not, right? Yes, I do. Great. Spell out your Gmail for me. No, I don't. Oh, okay. Well, spell out your email for me. Either way, 98% of the time we're getting the email address. I mean, nice. One person I spoke to yesterday, when I used that little close there, the response was, I don't use email. Well, what am I supposed to do then? Well, luckily for you, sir, I have all this in print material. I'll mail it to you and I can confirm your address. But to get a good conversation going, it's just to open up the lines of communication, right, to actually get them to agree to the follow-up.
Right.
And when they say, yeah, here's my email address, I'd love some additional information on how you can solve these problems, they've now just invited you to follow up with them. Right. And we have, we have the templates. Excuse me, my tongue got tied there. We have the templates of how our emails go out, but every single one has to be edited before it's sent. And it's just a couple of things. It's just really what's the situation with this specific file. And it's not much. It's not a rewriting of the whole email. It's just a couple of little bullet points that you're changing there. And then once that email is sent, they go into the CRM. The CRM is designed to push out valuable information that is tied to their timeline. So if I was talking to you, Bill, and we had our initial phone call and I plug you into the CRM, I'm already going to know what date you are going to receive your certified letters when you're going to court. I'm going to know if it's full of limited authority. I'm going to know how many errors there are. I'm going to know everything that I need to know about your probate file from that initial conversation. So when I add you to the CRM, even though the CRM is pre-built as far as when stuff goes out, I'm able to go in there and based on the dates that I learned from talking to you, I'm able to just make little small adjustments to it. So emails that go out talking about, hey, your hearing date's coming up to be approved as the executor and receive your certified letters of testamentary, those aren't going to come out after they've had their date. We're able to set it up to where it reaches them the day before or a couple of days before they actually have their hearing. So the main stuff of the follow-up is all timed to each individual case. And that includes emails, text messages. A lot of the text messages that we send out are push and pull. So we're putting out another question and we're getting them to engage with us.
Nice. And
at the end of that engagement, we usually will lead them back to an email that's coming with a link to a video. And it's all created ahead of time. Like we know where we're going. We have the roadmap. So if I know that I want to send you an email with a video that talks about the value of certified letters, why that's important to selling a piece of real estate, how they're used, I'm going to take that text message that goes out is going to be tailored to that. Right. So at the end, when I say, hey, be on the lookout for an email where I'm going to provide a link to a video that explains what's going to happen at your hearing date, why the certified letters are important, how we're going to use them when we sell the estate home, everything's already set up and teed up. There's no confusion. And that's how you deliver that next level value to impress upon the potential client that Bill Gross is the expert for the job. And anytime he calls me, I'm going to answer. Anytime he texts me, I'm going to respond. Because you've already developed that relationship of being a value giver. You're not wasting their time. Well, and also, you're not asking them if they want a CMA on the property.
I think real estate agents hear about these systems every day. I mean, I don't think a day goes by I don't get approached via email, text, something, advertisement about a CRM. And the problem is, for an individual agent, the overhead to design it to be appropriate for the probate business is so great. And the few companies that are in that field, it's all very generic and inappropriate. It looks like AI designed it all. And what you guys have done has gone to the next level, which is because you have a big enough scale team in the probate space to customize these powerful tools for probate. And like you said, to have the individual agent customize even that, I think that's important. I think that's the distinction between trying to compete with Zillow and Facebook and Google versus using their technology as an agent that's empowered. But look, you have very sophisticated systems. I don't have that because I don't have the size myself to build those things out. I can refer people to your team because you have the way put together and complement with some of the things that I do that might be different. But hats off. I know you guys did a fantastic job with this, and I'm just really impressed with it.
Thank you. And we try to make it as easy as we can for the agents that partner with us, because I'm the guy who built the follow-up campaign. I know how time consuming that was, and I'm constantly going in to just revamp it and add things to it. So when an agent partners with us, whether you and I co-sponsor or they come to me directly, that's always the big question. Like, who's going to help me set up the follow-up campaign? Right. And because we're all with EXP and all of the CRMs that we use are interchangeable, right. I simply just send them a little token and they click on that token and the whole campaign automatically populates for them, done. Right. And now all we have to do is go in and just change the signature to their name, change the photo to them. And then at that point, it's just the maintenance of when you talk to somebody and you put them into the CRM, all you got to do is just pop in there really quick. They gave you everything on your note sheet of what you need to change. You go in there, you change the data when they get their letters, if they're administrator or executor, yada, yada, what the property address is, boom, send, and then everything else is on automatic pilot. Your CRM will tell you when it's time to follow up and actually call them and check in. I mean, it really takes 95% of the labor off of the agent's shoulders, and all you really have to do is know when to send out a postcard and know when to call them. That's it.
And as a businessman, you can improve the system, but it leverages over all the people in your team rather than just you. So that's where you're going to make some changes to things that I just, as an individual practitioner, aren't going to do. It's not worth it. But for you, you might have 10, 20, 50 agents impacted by that change positively. So it just makes the value of those changes that much more successful. And I just felt so many agents are distracted with a lot of technology that isn't appropriate for them at their level. And I think a lot of these things are happening are very appropriate at your level as a team and at our company level, and we want to make sure that we're able to take advantage of those.
Yeah, we try to keep it as simple for the agents that are working with us as possible, as simple as possible.
Yeah, and so let's kind of just cover real quickly. I know a piece of that your father used to really get into. I don't know that I've heard as much from you on it lately. Investing, using the probate approach as an opportunity to develop investment opportunities. As a real estate agent, I have to say I got into business to be able to make money as an investor, and I've made good money, especially this past year as an investor, fix and flips. I actually do more wholesaling, not as an agent, and there's important compliance and rules about all that. Talk a little bit about the opportunity for an agent to, add to their wealth and add to their income stream by being an investor rather than just purely an agent.
Absolutely. And I think if someone is a investor, whether they buy and hold or they buy and flip, I encourage them to get their real estate license if they're looking at probate real estate as a source of business, because you're not going to be able to buy and flip all of them. And those ones that you can't buy and flip yourself, you don't want to just walk away from money that's on the table.
Right.
Put on your real estate hat and turn around and list it and help them sell the property on the market.
Right.
And when I explain that to a lot of the investors that I worked with, they see the writing on the wall and they're like, yeah, why would I not have my real estate license? Right. Of course, you got to disclose that, when you're purchasing a property, but whatnot, but who cares, right? You disclose it. I'm a licensed real estate agent, but I'm buying this as an investment under XYZ LLC or whatever.
Right.
So for real estate agents that also do buy and flip or buy and hold for themselves, probate's a great resource for that, because you're contacting and getting in with the estate so early on before they can make any legal decisions. They don't have any authority to do anything.
Right.
So as long as you have that skill set to be able to, number one, stay consistent, and number two, successfully build that rapport with the estate. If that estate home happens to be in a situation where it needs to be sold for cash off market, I have one right now coming up in San Jose where you can't put it on the market. I mean, you can. You're only going to get investor deals from it. It has to go cash, right? So you will find those situations, and because you've already put in the legwork of being a confidant with the family and providing them value that is useful for their unique situation, and you were in there so early,
right.
Just by you doing that, you've eliminated so much competition.
Right.
And when it does come time that they have that legal authority to sell the property, if they want an all cash deal, you'll be the first person at the door to have that opportunity. And then from that point moving forward, it's math, whether the numbers work or they don't. If the numbers work, you got yourself a deal. You just have to make sure that you do it without representing the estate. You just want to be on the buyer side. You don't want to represent the estate and sell it to an investor off market.
That's
just bad practice.
Yeah, it's bad practice. It's greedy. It smells bad. The whole thing is bad.
Yeah.
So you make a great point that you get early in the process. And I think I would add to that, all investors need to look at more deals. If you're a real estate agent looking at probate listings, you're just looking at more deals as an investor.
Yeah.
You have investors that call me after I sell something saying, hey, how can you show me that deal? Well, I don't know, just moved a little quick. But I'm looking at the deal with my eyes on as an investor. I think lastly, for investors, if you also do some listings, that pays for your lead generation. So I think it's a synergistic business to do both. And I've always look to do more real estate investing, but you have to do it compliant and meet the highest standard of ethics. But at the same time, there's opportunities that I get that I wouldn't otherwise, and I want to take advantage of those and use those to build my wealth. So I think you're right on that.
And the other thing also is understanding where we're at in the market. So if it's a slow down market for whatever reason, that's where we're taking more of a cash investor type of an approach, as opposed to letting the house be on the market for a long time, where there's utility costs and there's other things that have to be paid every single month. Maybe the estate, for their unique situation, it's more beneficial for them to just be done with it right now. And there's all kinds of different little attributes that would create that unique situation. Maybe the administrator or the executor lives out of the state. There's all kinds of different reasons why the estate would benefit from a quicker cash, don't need to deal with anything type of a sale. And you find more of those opportunities, at least I look for more of those opportunities based upon market conditions. When the market is a little bit healthier and properties are selling within 30 days on the market, which is where I'm at now, I always advise all of the clients that I'm working with, even though the property is a quote unquote investor type property, let's still put it on the market, because I'd rather have you look at 5 or 6 different investor offers and let me drive the price up that way, as opposed to just handing it off to one investor off market and only having that price to deal with.
Right.
So I always approach my clients based upon where the market is at. And even if they want a cash deal, if it's a solid market, whatever county they're in, I go over those numbers with them and I explain to them, you'll be in a more advantageous position to realize a higher sales price if we expose it to more cash investors, as opposed to just selling it to my one cash investor off market. That's just the right way to do things, in my opinion. They appreciate you more that way. But if the market turns and it's a much softer market and properties sit and they're vacant and this and that, and the reasons present themselves that they would much rather just be done with it now, well, we have those resources as well. So I let the market dictate for me how I approach the estates where it is a cash investor type situation.
Well, look, Gary, you and I could talk for hours. I've always enjoyed whenever we do get together. It always goes quickly. I kept you a little long today, so I apologize. But for those of you who want more, he has a great podcast, the Probate Hero Collective on YouTube is a link. We'll put, and it's in the banner as well down below. They do a podcast. You also have training programs and such for people looking to take another level. And if you're interested in joining this team, they have a whole program with that. If you're interested in joining XP, I can talk to you as well about supporting you. So Gary DiGrazia, phone number 510-688-7881, Gary.DiGrazia Jr. at exprealty.com, and the YouTube channel as well as the @probate_hero. If you want more information or reach out to me, I'd be more glad to forward you. Gary, thank you so much for taking time. I know you're real busy with your team and your business. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no, I blocked out time for this. I've been looking forward to this. It's always great to connect with you. So I appreciate you inviting me on. And it's, as always, it was fantastic just communicating and talking with you about probate. I love doing that.
I love talking probate all day long too. Thank you, Gary. Thank you so much. Say hi to Ray for me as well. Ray Marquez is the former broker of record at eXp Realty, as his partner, and a great guy, helped us go. Hey, well, look, everybody, thank you so much for joining our episode today. Probate Weekly. Every week we get together a new episode with top producers in the business, most often attorneys. In this case, a real estate agent and team leader who I think is really exceptional. We also talk to vendors. If you have somebody that you would like me to interview or you want to be interviewed, put it in the comments. Like this, subscribe to this, reach out to me if I can help any way, @Bill Gross Probate on social media. As always, make today your best day ever. Thanks so much.